Okay, let's unpack this. I mean, think about how fast technology is moving these days.
Yeah, it's correct.
It's not just, our phones or how we work anymore. It's really getting into areas like, well, selling your home. Pretty fundamental stuff.
Absolutely. We tend to think of tech in certain boxes, but really these tools are popping up in some surprising, really practical parts of everyday life.
Which honestly makes it perfect for one of our deep dives. You brought in some source material, and today, let's really dig into a specific example of this happening right now in real estate.
Exactly. So the material we're looking at today, it's from a blog post. It's titled AI's Role in Western Washington Home Sales. And it's by Don and Susie Karstedt over at Rethinking Real Estate.
Right. So the topic's pretty clear. How real estate pros are using artificial intelligence AI specifically to help out home sellers. And we're getting this insight straight from Don and Susie Karstedt's perspective in that post, looking especially at places like Lake Tapps and Western Washington generally.
Mm-hmm. And our mission here really is to get past just the term AI. We want to understand what Don and Susie Karstedt actually mean when they talk about using it. What specific things do they say it does to help sellers?
Yeah, and what does it all mean for you, the listener, if you're maybe thinking about selling, or even if you're just curious about how AI is being used out there in the real world?
Right. It's not sci-fi.
No, definitely not. This is all about practical application. We're going to unpack how this specific source says AI is already making a difference, kind of behind the scenes, in selling a home.
Okay, so let's start right there. When Don and Susie Karstedt, in their post, talk about AI, what are they actually talking about? It's not C-3PO showing up for an open house, right?
Oh, right. No. They define it much more practically. Think of it as smart software. Software that's really good at chewing through huge amounts of data.
Okay.
And spotting patterns in that data, things maybe a person wouldn't easily see, and then using those patterns to help make better decisions during the whole selling process.
So their angle is that this software is a tool, basically. A tool to replace some of the guesswork with something more solid, more data-driven, gives sellers more confidence.
That seems to be the idea, yeah. More confidence, a clearer plan, and maybe the biggest stress point for sellers, pricing. The source calls it smart pricing. How do Don and Susie Karstedt explain how that works using AI?
Well, they explain it's about going way beyond just looking at recent comparable sales, the usual comps. Their AI tools apparently pull in and analyze just tons of real-time data. And it's specific to small areas like Lake Tapps or the wider Western Washington market.
What kind of data are we talking about? What goes into that?
Things like super recent sales, down to the specific street sometimes, current buyer demand, like what features are hot right now. It looks at the seller's actual home, its features, its condition, and even really local market conditions. But the key thing, the insight from their post, is that the AI looks for the connections between all these things, subtle correlations.
To find the best price.
To recommend a price that's really dialed in. So you avoid pricing too high and just sitting there, or maybe worse, pricing too low and leaving cash on the table. It's about finding that sweet spot based on today's data and today's buyers.
Wow, okay. That level of precision, just based on data, sounds like a real edge. Now, once you've got the price, the next challenge is marketing, right? Getting the right people to actually see the listing. How does the source say AI helps there?
They really emphasize how AI helps target the marketing much better. It lets them analyze data about buyer behavior, who's looking, where they're looking, what they're clicking on, to find and reach the serious buyers. People actively searching in, say, Western Washington for a home like yours.
So you're not wasting effort showing it to people who aren't really in the market or looking in a totally different area.
Exactly. The post makes a point about reaching qualified buyers more efficiently. And it also mentions AI helping to actually write the property description by analyzing language, seeing what words, what features really grab buyers' attention based on past data. So the description itself becomes more effective.
And they can even tweak the listing after it goes live, based on how it's doing online.
Yes, that's a really interesting point they make. The AI can track things like how many people view it, save it, ask questions, and provide feedback. Maybe certain photos aren't working or part of the description is confusing. It allows for these smart little adjustments while it's listed to keep engagement high.
Okay, that makes sense. So, moving on. Managing all the communication, showings, questions, offers, updates, it can be overwhelming. How does the source, Don and Susie Karstedt's post, say AI helps with that side of things?
They talk about using AI tools for what they call always-on communication. Basically, using automation for some of the tasks that need quick responses 24/7.
Like booking a showing request that comes in late at night.
Exactly. And the post suggests these tools can also handle common buyer questions automatically, provide instant answers, keep people interested, even if it's outside office hours. Plus, automated updates for the seller on how much activity there is.
So the benefit for the seller, based on this source, is, well, it sounds like things just run smoother. Faster info flow, less stress for them, not having to chase updates or be constantly on call.
That's the idea. Using tech to handle the volume efficiently, keep everyone in the loop, improve responsiveness.
Okay, now this next part from the source really caught my eye. They talk about AI helping to see what's coming, not just what's happening. That sounds predictive.
Yeah, this is where it gets pretty advanced. It's about using the AI's ability to analyze all that historical and current data to spot underlying trends that might suggest where the market is heading next.
So what kind of trends?
Well, they mentioned tracking local market momentum, subtle shifts in what buyers are looking for, even understanding seasonal patterns in specific areas like lake taps.
And how does knowing that potentially help a seller? According to the post, I mean.
The insight Don and Susie Karstedt offer here is that this predictive capability helps them give more strategic advice. Advice on timing.
Like, when is the absolute best week to list your house?
Potentially, yeah. Or identifying what features buyers are really valuing right now, because that changes. And maybe even getting a sense of where prices might be heading in Western Washington in the near future.
So instead of just reacting to what happened last month, you're trying to position the sale based on what the data suggests might happen next.
Exactly. Making smarter, forward-looking decisions about timing and how you present the property. They frame it as pretty crucial in a market that changes quickly.
Now, it feels important to mention Don and Susie Karstedt's post is really clear that this isn't about, robots taking over the whole process.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They strongly emphasize that point. It's a combo deal.
Yeah.
You've got the powerful tech, the AI doing the heavy lifting on data analysis.
Right.
But it's paired with their human expertise, their local knowledge, negotiation skills, the personal touch.
So it's pitched as getting the best of both worlds. The machine's analytical power plus the agent's experience and service.
That's exactly how they present it. And the final outcome they describe in the blog post. For sellers using this kind of data-informed approach, it's about getting a clear plan, one that's built around their specific goals, their timeline.
And the big promise, according to Don and Susie Karstedt at Rethinking Real Estate, seems to be selling with more confidence, knowing that the strategy, pricing, marketing, communication, timing, it's all grounded in solid data analysis.
Yeah, it shifts the feeling, doesn't it? From what can seem like a big emotional gamble to something more like a series of deliberate, informed steps, supported by tech.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the key takeaways. We dove into this perspective from Don and Susie Karstedt's blog post at Rethinking Real Estate.
And we've seen how, from their viewpoint, AI isn't some far-off idea. It's a set of practical tools they're using right now in Western Washington real estate, specifically to help sellers.
Right. Their approach uses it for, quite a lot. Getting the price just right, using super local data, targeting marketing to the right buyers, making communications smoother and faster through automation.
And even using data to anticipate market shifts, helping with strategic timing.
And a really crucial point from their post, it's not AI replacing people, it's tech working with human expertise and local know-how.
Exactly. Augmenting, not replacing.
So this deep dive really highlights how this complex-sounding tech AI is actually being used right now in a process lots of us go through selling a home. And according to Don and Susie Karstedt, it's about using data to potentially make things, smoother, maybe faster, maybe less stressful for you.
Which leads to kind of a final thought, building on their perspective. If AI is getting this good at analyzing data to predict market trends and buyer actions for selling, what other parts of buying or selling a home might be next? Where else could this kind of data analysis make a big difference?
Yeah, that's interesting. And maybe just knowing that this level of analysis is happening behind the scenes, how might that change how you think about the market next time you're looking to buy or sell? Definitely something to think about.